for the school climate leadership team. The goal of the team is to drive the big team, and the big team drives the district. Remainder of the team consists of a counselor that represents all the counselors at all levels, one secondary administration, one elementary admin, a teacher per building, which makes 6 total, a board member, and 2 community members. Again, this makeup was the direction of the research done by the National School Climate Center in IU13. We do have we have a community member represented, and we also have some of our teachers here with us tonight that we have discussed about being on the team. Sure.
Joe, one of the community members, Joe Still, he's got a son at Jonestown Elementary and a daughter in middle school. We have Mrs. Walker, who's back, representing Lickdale. We have Mrs. Hoffer, that's representing East Hanover. Is that it?
I think it is tonight.
We have Harley Stein for Jonestown Elementary. She was not in school today. We have middle school, Ben Baird, is that teacher. We have Dan Hess from the high school. And we have Aaron Tobias from Fredericksburg. So we need one more.
Yeah.
And that's
That's
I'll let you
you.
take care of
We are asking for board member representation on this team. We feel that that is extremely significant in moving this process forward. If that can be a conversation between the 9 of you, and then if you want to produce a name to us, that would be awesome. But it would be really important to us, and part of the recommendations from the PDE National School Climate Center IU13 encouraged us to have a board member on this team as well. So we would appreciate that. You can reach out to any one of us or to Ed. Thank you. Oh, there it is. We feel school board support would be great in this process. Does anybody have any questions?
Is this available electronically? I think this would be good information to have.
Absolutely.
And you might be able to distribute to all of us.
Absolutely, yes.
Can I ask what changes, I guess, from last year to this year? Because I feel like last year, there's a lot of similarity at focus groups. First we did the surveys, then we did the parents' focus groups, and from those focus groups, the administration met in their focus groups, and then.
Can you turn your mic on?
So what would be the biggest
What would be the difference?
changes between that and this?
Yeah. So the biggest change is really starting from ground zero and taking a step back, and the focus being on school climate. Go ahead, Ed, I'm sorry.
I would add too that, I mean, we're working with big players here. I mean, this isn't just admin coming together and saying, hey, let's start focus groups, let's have conversations, let's handpick. I mean, we're working with PDE, we're working with IU13, we're working with the National School Climate Center. These two have done, and I feel uncomfortable even standing here because these two have done all of the legwork. I've been fortunate to be in the meetings now with, what was it, yesterday? Was it yesterday?
Yeah.
I'm losing track of time. Sitting in and hearing PDE, you know, you see all the faces on the computer screen, PDE, IU13, and the School Climate Center. And these are people that have done it. I mean, more or less, so the experience piece, we're not just going in this and creating a path that maybe, you know, we want to do. We're working with people that have worked with other districts. And I just want to add, again, these two have done the legwork, and I've said this to the members of the culture team, climate team that we put together. I'm excited about this because to me, it's not just another committee. And I've been part of, in my 4 years here, I've been part of committees, and sometimes they get somewhere, sometimes they don't get somewhere. I feel like this is something that's going to get stuff done, and there's going to be execution, which is what I'm looking for when I dedicate my time to something. And I mean, I've said that to the members here. This is something we're going to execute. We're not going to just throw ideas out. We're going to do it.
And I think too, Rachel, I threw out the word focus group, and maybe I use that term a little bit loosely, and that's in the analyzing of the results from the survey. So the main goal of this is to just drive an initiative moving forward. What that looks like, we don't know yet. We need some concrete data to even know what we're looking at here. What are the concerns of the community? What actually are the concerns? What are the concerns of our teachers? What are the concerns of our students? And creating groups to analyze the result and put the plan in place. That's when I spoke of focus groups, what I was talking about.
Yeah, I was the only one that attended, I think, 4 of those, and there
Yeah.
was 5. And I mean, as a parent, I wasn't even there as a board member, so I just, and I don't fault the public at that. I've never even, you know, before I was on the board, like, it is hard to get to things. It really is, and I get that some people say, oh, it's just an hour out of your life. So I think maybe finding out how we're getting that information and that feedback would be helpful to, or I guess as a board, just, you know, how those surveys, because some of the surveys were up to perspective too. You know, like one kid would answer no to one question, then yes to 2 questions later, and it was basically the same question. So you're kind of like, do they really understand what safety is and what feeling like they belong is and what bullying is versus harassment? And I would like the chance to see, I don't have to be the board that's on that, but I would love the chance to see like the survey
So
prior to
the
going out.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. The survey is an evidence-based, and it is scored high on reliability and validity, and it's from the Department of Education. So it is one of their surveys that they've used across the state.
It's been around a while and it has evolved, and there's also, my understanding, room for us to add or delete a little bit here and there. We can customize for the district.
Yeah, I think that's,
Yeah.
I think that's the part that I wanted to make sure we could do, because I think last year, you know, the first year into it, we used a typical Survey Monkey or whatever it was, like a typical, and it really just didn't fit. Right. So that would be great to kind of see like the final
Department of Ed,
tweak.
it's supposed to be very reliable.
Good questions. Thank you, Rachel.
Any other questions from the board? If you are interested in serving on behalf of the board, let me know by the end of the meeting, and then I'll let the 3 of you know who will be represented. Thank you for your work on this.
Thanks.
And I will reiterate, I think it would be great to see that data from the school climate survey. I don't know if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
easy, not that you could pull it, but comparing to other districts or even in IU, just how we compare in relation to, I don't know if that's easy to pull or not. I think
We're gonna try. We're gonna try, and we will bring back the data to you, and have that laid out, hopefully with a pretty solid plan ready to rock and roll for September. So,
good. Thank you.
thanks.
We will now turn to our 2018 audit report. We welcome Crowley and Howard.
Harley and Howard, yes. While Tom gets set up, I'll just take a moment. This is Pam and Mike, and they've done our audit here for the 2018 financials. And I just wanted to point out that there will be a slide in there on the cafeteria negative balance, and I'm hoping that this can provide some clarity, since there seems to be some confusion and false information being shared.
Thanks for having us today. My name's Michael Crowley. This is Pam Halloran. And we'll try to get through this in a short period of time. So we're going to stick with the PowerPoint. We're not going to go through the actual report, which I have in front of you. That'll probably keep us on track here. So.
We did print a handful of slides there also, the same thing here, so we thought. But not here, so thank you very much for getting that going. Okay. The first part is the audit report, and that describes the different areas. No, I'm not going to do that. I got to stand on the side.
So that covers, the first part of it covers the financial statements that were audited, management's responsibilities, the auditor's responsibilities, let somebody know what standards we're using, so generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards as well. There's a sections in there about the MD&A and the schedule of federal awards, and there's a lot of required supplemental schedules that are required in these statements, so there's some areas and talks about those. And then the opinion that the district received was that your financial statements are fairly stated, and it's called an unmodified opinion, so that's the highest opinion that we can give for the district. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Kind of cut off at the bottom. Fill in the blanks. So the first part is management's discussion and analysis, and that is prepared by management. Gives the reader a narrative of what happened during the year, compares current numbers to the year before, and there's some charts and graphs. So it's very comparative. So we encourage you to look at that. Here's a slide of showing our condensed statement of that position.
Well, the net position is similar to kind of like a balance sheet, so it's going to show the assets, deferred outflows, and then liabilities and deferred inflows, and the difference between those is your net position. So pretty consistent, as you can see, between the years. And then this one is the business type activity, which is the lunch, school lunch program.
And we'll talk a little bit more about that. We've got a slide on that. And this is the two combined, so not really much different there. So the first statement in there is your condensed statement of net position. So you defer your total assets in a category called deferred outflows for around $44.3 million. The total assets were $35 million, and that was up $64,000 from the prior year. We also have the deferred outflows.
Deferred outflows are pretty much related to two GASBs out of there. GASB 68 deals with pension plans. GASB 75 deals with your post-employment benefits, and we'll kind of talk about that a little bit later. Total liabilities is $76 million. That's an increase of $3 million. Your net position deficit is $33.9 million, and that's a decrease of 2.2. So the deficit went down by $2.2 million. Again, remember there's two sets of statements here. So there's the government-wide statements, full accrual, all the assets of the district, the buildings, all are on the books, and also all the liabilities. And then we're going to get into the fund statements, which are more the way you manage the day-to-day operations of the district.
Right, actually, your net position is a decrease of $2.2 million from what was previously reported in the prior year, and that's because we had to do a restatement for a standard that was implemented, GASB 75, that deals with your other post-employment benefits. So if you didn't have that prior period restatement to the beginning net assets, bringing that down, you wouldn't have had an increase of $1.2 million. So that was a positive effect.
And deferred outflows of resource were $9.1 million, again made up of that pension-related obligation and post-employment benefits. This GASB 75, those are $285. The deferred inflows of resources is $1.78, and both those are made up from the pension and the post-employment benefits. So net. So GASB 75 was implemented this year. If you remember, GASB 45 was the first time that the Government Accounting Standard Board dealt with post-employment benefits. And again, when we talk about this, we're talking about health benefits for our staff that we have now and our retired staff. So GASB 45 started to deal with that, and we booked a big liability back when that standard came up. GASB 75 completed the process, and we booked the entire liability at this point. The two standards, GASB 68, which deals with pensions, and GASB 75, which deals with post-employment benefits, are related. They're similar now. They look the same when you look at the notes for those. So it's the same methodology. So the idea being that if we make a promise to our staff that we're going to pay health benefits and retirement benefits during the period that they're going to be retired, those benefits have to be booked as a liability during the time period that they're working. So, so during the school year that they're working is picking up not only what it costs for health benefits in this school year, but what it's going to cost for health benefits maybe for the 20 years that they're retired. So that's kind of the theory behind that. So that's why that liability can be quite large.
Here we are moving on to our statement of activities, and these are governmental activity expenses, just a couple of pie charts so you can see how very similar they are. Very, very similar. net functions and programs total 28.1 million. Last year they were 27.2. And this is the net of expenditures by function and charges for services, operating grants.
Remember, we're dealing with a government, so when you see this statement kind of, it's like an income statement. But with governments, they serve a purpose. So here we're providing education benefits. So the expenditure's always at the top. We take those expenditures, we reduce them by whatever grants district may receive and whatever charges for services, like the school lunch, get a net number, and that's the net expenditures for that, for the program, the program that we run for the year. And then the district has to come up with the revenues to pay for that. Most of the revenue comes from state aid and property taxes and other taxes, and in your case, Pennsylvania, there's other taxes funding that as well. So that the revenues are down at the bottom of that statement.
And here we have our revenues, so those are at the bottom, that's why they're on this slide, so that's just showing the breakdown. Again, very similar makeups of these areas. Our general revenues increased overall $787,000. Our property and other tax revenues increased $619,000. We had more interest income, almost $90,000.
Remember that the business office, people in the business office decided to move some of the reserves, some of the cash reserves to a better, to a bank that paid better interest rates, so that we saw an increase. This year was, started last year, we saw some of it last year, but this year was a full year. So the district picked up $89.4 million in terms of interest income.
Your grants and entitlements were also up 72.7. Miscellaneous income, I'm not remembering what was in there, but it's, and the difference between the net cost and functions, as Mike explained, 28 million and the general revenues of 29.3. Sorry, that slide's cut off. We don't have it cut off on yours, so you can see the volumes. Then we move on to the fund statements. So those other statements we talked about were the long-term view, our debt is on, our fixed assets are on, they're depreciated. This is the fund balance view that you're used to looking at.
So we only have a couple funds running right now. The general fund is the major fund, that's how we run the school. Capital fund is kind of sitting there with $30 in it because we're done with our capital projects. Debt fund is zero, so all that goes through the debt fund is the principal and interest payments coming over from the general fund. Debt service fund pays those, and the money goes out and pays the different bonds. So everything is pretty much running through our general fund at this point. And the fund balance was $4.9 million, and that's an increase of $524,000 over the prior year.
Capital fund just has $30 left over in it, and the debt service fund had nothing. This is the breakdown of the different categories of fund balance. I won't spend a lot of time on that, but we fall into certain categories. We have our statement of revenues, expenditures, and changes in fund balance. Our operating surplus in the general fund of $524,000. The prior year, it was also surplus of $547,000. Our capital fund expenditures were zero this year. Last year, $188,000 was spent, just finishing up some of those capital projects that we had going on. The debt service fund paid $1.68 million of principal payments and $496,000 for interest and finance charges. Here we have. So this is showing the food service has had a deficit for several years, and we've been asked to speak about this. We have actually included this slide every year. So it owes the general fund because the general fund has had to pay certain expenses to keep the school food going. So we can see where that levels off. It is coming down a little bit.
So there's two ways of running a food service program. So there's not enough for charges for services, and the grants don't cover the cost in most cases. So you can send a subsidy, so the general fund subsidizes the food service fund by sending money over to it and that's considered an expenditure in the general fund and revenue in the food service fund, and helps mitigate some of these costs. That hasn't been the way you've done it here. You've lent the money from the general fund to the school food service fund. So the general fund has lent the money to the food service fund. So the food service fund doesn't make enough to be able to pay that back. So you came up with you came up with the idea of outsourcing that, and you can see the deficits have gone down, and now we're at a point where I believe certainly in this year, the food service fund made money and is able now to repay some of it. So it may take a long time to do that.
Right, you can see the blue line with the revenues is over the expenses, so that's a positive direction.
So it's also appropriate to send money to subsidize, to send that over. So that's not unusual. We see that with a lot of schools.
Right, so these lunch funds owe about $910,000. The prior year it was a little over $1 million. We had a positive change in the net position of the school lunch of $44,000 this year. So that's definitely in a good direction. I believe last year we had a $7,000 profit. So this year a little bit stronger. So your total net position in the school lunch fund is actually a deficit of $828,000. In that, you've got about $28,500 tied up in your equipment. And then the unrestricted deficit is $856,000.
Any questions on that, just because I know that was a concern?
What is the concern, like, I think part of the concern was why pay it back from the general fund? Why not cut it as a loss, I think was what was presented to us, you know, it's already been paid
Sure.
off. What is
Sure.
the negative to the,
It just would mean the general fund would have an expenditure in the sense of the loss of the monies that they lent. So instead of being an asset where it lent money, it would be an expenditure or bad debt write-off. And on the school lunch fund, that would be considered revenue, so that it make that fund level out. So that's certainly appropriate to do that.
Right, very appropriate, but your fund balance obviously will go down. So. Then we go on to the notes of the financial statements. They run for several pages. We like to look at the capital asset note, but we won't make you go through them. Debt note is 40 to 42, and it just details what happened in the debt over the year. We paid $1,675,000 in principal on bonds, and we had a decrease in compensated absences of $101,000. Note 8 is big. It goes through the whole pension. There's just a lot of requirements in there. That was that standard that was implemented in 2015, where your net position also we had to restate the beginning balance when these standards are implemented. That's what's required. So it's putting it as if you had that all along. So we had that again in Note 9 with the post-employment benefits that we talked a little bit about. So there's
a lot of verbiage, similar standards. The pension, the district's obligation for pension plan liability is $52.1 million. Pennsylvania doesn't fund their pension plan 100%, so it's underfunded, and your share of that is $52.1 million. So I think they're getting better. They're starting to fund it a little better, but that just means that you're going to have to send more money into the plan. Much better on GASB 75, the post-employment benefits. Yours are lower than most states, school districts in most states, because Pennsylvania does fund that. So different states do different things.
And there's schedules in your bound financial statements that explain all those and required schedules. There's like 3 new ones in there this year. It just keeps getting bigger and bigger. That's why it's so big. And then the other part that we do is on federal awards. So we have scheduled expenditures on the federal awards that are spent, and There are two more opinions in there. One is called a Yellow Book report, and it talks about compliance over financial reporting, and it also talks about internal controls over financial reporting. So there we would let you know if you had any deficiencies noted that would bring to the level up to your attention, or anything that would be considered a material weakness. Then there's another report in there. It's called the single audit report, and that's where we take a look at major programs that are federal sourced, and we do some compliance testing on those, and we let you know if we had any issues. We looked at Title I and we looked at the Lunch Program, and we're happy to say that we didn't have any deficiencies. This is just an explanation of what deficiencies, what their definitions are. If these were significant or material, then they would actually be in your report. So happy to say that they're not. And also there's two communication letters that say would be in there too. So we will make sure that you know about those, but we didn't have to. We didn't have any. So that's, skipped ahead to that slide. So there you go.
Also in the board communication letters is the accounting estimates out there. There's quite a lot of estimates that go in there. The estimates by an actuary for the pension disclosures are an estimate. It's the best estimate that the actuary can come up with for both post-employment benefits and the pension. Appreciation is an estimate, so there's a lot of estimates that goes into the financial statement. Any questions? Business office does a wonderful job. And does a fantastic job. And we're treated very well here, so thank you so much. What? That's all right.
Well, there's no questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the business office for what you do to lay the groundwork for that report. Moving on to treasurer's report, it looks like.
I don't have anything to report. Leanne, is there anything that, I think, I'll just claim all that, the treasurer's report, all of that info.
Okay, what brings us to our public input session. We have one comment on agenda item. That's from Andrew Murphy. Mr. Murphy, you'll have 4 minutes to discuss your item on the agenda, which it looks like is budget. We have a new phone over here, so I am going to keep time for you. You have 4 minutes.
Andrew Murphy, 1828 Glassbridge Road, Anvil, PA. And that was a great introduction to what I'm about to talk to. Your first draft of your budget, you're asking for a 2.8% tax increase. You currently are on the first draft are short $1.897 million dollars, so you are way short and asking for a tax increase. I told you guys last year, if you guys don't make major cuts, don't give us a tax increase because you guys aren't spending the money wisely. Your ending fund balance last week at the committee meeting was stated was going to be $1.4 million. The handout today says it's only going to be $634,000. There's a huge jump that is lost in a week based on your budget. Your budget reserve for the proprietary fund food service that they were just showing, we were told it was negative $827,000. I had asked last week, can this be written off as an operating loss? I actually looked up and found a national conference about food service where they did just about that. And now the auditors have said, yes, it's appropriate to subsidize from the general fund. We've already paid this. Why do we need to pull money and set aside? Worse yet, I want to know where that money went. We should audit this fund back, because even one of the board members last week at the committee meeting said they weren't aware of it getting this bad for a couple of years. So there should be an audit of this fund to see exactly where did the money go. Was this money spent on stuff that was not for food service? Did someone take the money? What happened to this money? Because you don't just get to almost $1 million accidentally. Someone wasn't minding the till. At the budget workshop that Leanne did last month, Director Sekelic said that the Northern Lebanon School District, the average salary has gone down. So everybody's making less. Why can you consider a tax increase if everyone's making less? We had someone come in last year and said they're paying more in taxes than they make a year. How's that person going to survive if you even raise it more? You lost almost $2 million last year. That's about all I got for now, for what you're voting on today. I'll have more later.
Good job, cousin.
Moving on to our financial reports. Director Sekelic.
A motion to approve the statement of cash transactions for the general fund in the amount of $3,328,595.61 for months ending December 31st, 2018. There were no disbursements in the capital projects fund for month ending December 31st, 2018. Disbursements for month ended December 31st, 2018 were reviewed by myself.
Roll call vote, please, Mrs. Martin. Oh, discussion, sorry. Roll call.
Brewer. England. Murray.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Sekelic.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Dow.
Yes.
All in favor, motion passed.
I motion to approve item 7.2, the student activity account.
Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
England.
Yes.
Murray.
Yes.
Fox.
Yes.
Sekelic.
Yes.
Erdman.
Yes.
Dow.
Yes.
Brewer.
Yes.
All in favor, motion passed.
Budget and Finance Director Sekelic, please.
I motion to approve item 8.1, the proposed preliminary budget. Oh, the consent. Yeah, we're still working on that. As well as item 8.2, the letter of agreement with PA Counseling Services. For the agreement is for 2 years or until terminated by either agency.
Discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I motion to approve item 8.3, the contract for special education supervisory and support services with IU13 for the remainder of the 2018-2019 school year ending on June 14th, 2019 at a cost of $490 a day for a maximum of 65 days. This will be paid through access funds.
Discussion?
I had requested for Mr. Scott